Between 1945 and 1950, a small, remote stretch of forest in southwestern Vermont became one of America's strangest unsolved mysteries. Locals call it the Bennington Triangle, a wild patch of wilderness that seems to swallow people whole, leaving behind nothing but questions and whispers. The name came later from a writer trying to piece together the eerie happenings here. But back then, it was just the Green Mountain National Forest, a place filled with endless trees, narrow trails, and a silence so deep it felt like it was pressing on your chest. During the day, it was all peaceful vibes, but when the fog rolled in, it transformed the woods into something spooky and otherworldly. And that's when the disappearances began, quietly at first, like a shadow slipping through the trees. Mitty Rivers was the first to go missing, and it was back in November 1945. Picture this, a 74-year-old woodsman, still surprisingly strong for his age, who could navigate every ridge and stream like the back of his hand. He was leading a group of hunters through the rugged mountains near Glastonbury, a town that was practically a ghost of its former self, once bustling with loggers. So, the group split up for a bit near a babbling brook, just to stretch their legs. Mitty, as usual, walked ahead, confident and steady. But when the others caught up, he had vanished into thin air. No sound, no footprints, just the constant rush of water echoing around them. It's eerie, right? How does someone just disappear like that? The woods can be so unpredictable, and it leaves you wondering what really happened to him. They searched for weeks. Dozens of men combed the area, calling his name. They found not a single clue, not a torn jacket, not a dropped gun, not even a footprint. It was as if he'd just stepped off the face of the earth. People said it was the mountain. That Glastonbury had always been cursed. Old Abenaki legends warned travelers not to go there after dark. The native people called the mountain taboo, a place where the four winds met, where the world didn't behave the way it should. Some said the land itself would open and swallow the living. A year passed. The town tried to forget. Then came December 1st, 1946, and Paula Jean Weldon. She was 18, a student at Bennington College, bright and curious, known for hiking the nearby trails. That afternoon, she told her roommate she was going for a short walk on the long trail before dinner. She wore a bright red coat, the kind you could spot easily against snow or pine. She never came back. When she didn't show for classes, a search began. Hundreds joined. Students, police, even the FBI. Planes scanned the mountains. Bloodhounds followed her scent to a crossroads. And then nothing. It just stopped. One of the dogs lay down in the snow and refused to go further. Locals began whispering. They said Red never lasted long on Glastonbury Mountain, that whatever was in those woods hated it. Her disappearance made national headlines. Reporters descended on Bennington, printing wild theories: murder, runaway, amnesia. But no trace of her was ever found. The forest gave nothing back. Then came 3 more disappearances, all within the same 10-mile area. In 1949, a man named James Tedford vanished from a moving bus. He was a veteran living at a nearby soldier's home, taking a bus from St. Albans back to Bennington. Witnesses saw him reading quietly in his seat. The bus made several stops along the way. When it reached Bennington, his luggage was still on the rack. His ticket was in his pocket, but Tedford was gone. The driver swore he never saw him leave. It was as though he dissolved into the air between towns. The following year, 1950, the pattern continued. That October, Paul Jepson, an 8-year-old boy, disappeared from his family S-truck while his mother fed pigs at their small farm near the edge of Glastonbury. She said she'd only been gone a few minutes. He'd been playing in the front seat. When she returned, door open, engine running, Paul was gone. They brought in bloodhounds again. The dogs followed his scent to the same point where Paula Weldon's trail had ended for years before. Then they froze, whining. The air felt wrong. One searcher said, to still like the woods were holding their breath. A week later, in mid-October, 53-year-old Frida Langer vanished. She and her cousin were hiking near Somerset Reservoir when she slipped into a stream. Soaked and annoyed, she told him she'd run back to camp, change, and catch up. She never made it. Frida's case was different. They actually found her. 7 months later, when the snow melted, her body was discovered near the reservoir. But here's the strange part. That area had been searched dozens of times before, thoroughly. Her remains appeared in a place where nothing had been before, and they were too decomposed for cause of death to be determined. By 1951, the disappearances stopped. No more missing people, no more headlines. The forest just went quiet again, but the locals never forgot. They say the mountain takes, then sleeps. That it waits years between feedings. There are theories, of course. Some say it's just coincidence, hikers getting lost, wild animals, accidents. Others point to geology. The area is filled with sinkholes, old mines, and caves deep enough to swallow a person whole. A few say it's magnetic anomalies, strange forces that mess with compasses and confuse travelers. But there's something about the symmetry that doesn't sit right. 5 vanishings, spaced evenly across 5 years, same region. Same season, late fall, when the woods are at their quietest, and then there's the folklore. The Abenaki people believed Glastonbury was where the boundaries between worlds were thin, a thin place, they called it. A place where one could slip through without meaning to. Some even believed a stone doorway lay hidden deep in the forest, a portal that opens at certain times of year, then closes again, step through it, and you're gone. In the 1970s, a team of amateur explorers claimed they'd found what looked like a circular stone structure covered in moss and soil, large enough for a person to walk through. When one man stepped inside, he said the woods went completely silent. No wind, no birds. The air felt thick, like underwater. He backed out immediately. When he turned to call the others, the structure was gone, just trees. Most dismiss that as a hoax. But those who've camped near Glastonbury say the forest still feels strange. Compasses spin, watches stop. Some hikers claim to hear whispering in languages they don't recognize. Others describe seeing flashes of red deep between the trees, a color that shouldn't exist in a forest that muted. The people of Bennington grew used to it. They called it the Triangle because it sounded cleaner, less cursed. But deep down, they knew it wasn't a shape or a coincidence. It was a pattern. And every now and then, when someone goes missing on that mountain, a hiker lost, a hunter gone too long, the old-timers will shake their heads and say, quietly, the mountain's awake again. If you go there today, the forest still looks peaceful, postcard-perfect Vermont. But locals warn against hiking alone, especially after the first frost. They say if you hear your name whispered from the trees, don't answer. And if you see a flash of red moving just ahead of you, no matter how familiar it looks, turn around. Because in the Bennington Triangle, people don't just get lost, they get taken.